Today we are going to talk about a suspense thriller film with perfect visuals and storyline. The female lead is played by Allison Janney, who has won an Academy Award. This film is full of energy and has no urine spots. If it doesn't look good, please let me have a second child and continue to have a son. The story begins on a beautiful small island in the north of the United States, where a pickup truck is slowly driving towards the center of the town. This woman's name is Sister Jean. She came to the bank today to withdraw all her savings. Guayuan was reluctant to handle the business for her when she heard that she wanted to withdraw so much money. Jean Jia had just walked out of the bank when she met an old friend who was a detective. It was learned from the conversation that Jean Jia has been living here for 32 years. Sitting in her car, the detective saw a scar on Jean Jia's left hand and suggested that she buy a health bracelet to wear. Without any hesitation, the detective's verbose words made Jean start the car and leave the place. This small island has charming scenery, like spring all year round. Many people say it's like a paradise in the world. Driving a pickup truck on the lush road, although only 15 kilometers away from home, Jean Jia's mood doesn't seem good. Shortly thereafter, the pickup truck arrived at the residence, and Jean Jia poked her head out to urge the woman to pay the rent quickly, otherwise he would have to cut off power and water tomorrow. Originally, the woman was Jean Jia's tenant and had to pay the rent on schedule every month. After parking the car, Jean Jia has a big task to do next. Looking at the gloomy sky, the rainstorm soon poured down. Despite the weather, Sister Jean came out with a shovel. He came to a tree not far from home, ready to find something here. Soon, a box was dug out. That night, Jean Jia opened the box and took out a stack of documents. After a moment, he threw them into the stove. It is obvious that there is an unknown secret hidden in Jean Jia's body. Afterwards, he wrote a suicide letter and locked the hunting dog in his room. Finally, he sat in a chair with a hunting gun, ready to end his life. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, suddenly, "Where's your phone? What the hell? Where's your I gotta call the chair? What?" He used to be a daytime tenant. The woman came to seek help, and he said that his husband suddenly came back and kidnapped his daughter. Now that the phone is broken, he begged to borrow the car. Jean Jia didn't say anything about the importance of saving people, but the car couldn't start. She went to the front of the car to check the engine, but just as she got stuck on the side, the car exploded. And this scene was all seen by the man not far away. Now that the phone was broken and the car was destroyed, the woman was anxious and at a loss. At this moment, Jean Jia appeared very calm. By the time the woman calmed down and regained her sanity, Jean Jia had already put on all the equipment. It's too late to report to the police, the only way is to save oneself. After the two of them went outdoors for an inspection, they found the trail of the visitor. So, Jean Jia and the woman followed the clues to save the person. Little by little, they groped their way through the jungle where the rainstorm poured. The next morning, Sister Jean and the woman found a house and they hid in the grass to secretly observe. Through a telescope, the woman said that they were her husband's two comrades in arms, both of whom were ruthless killers. After hearing this, Jean Jia came up with a plan. He asked the woman to ambush him again, while he went to meet them himself. Under the cover of the grass, Sister Jean quietly approached the house. She took off her hat, stroked her hair, and then pretended to be very pitiful before trembling to the door. "Hello. Oh, excuse me. I was looking for my dog." After all, he is someone who has won an Oscar and easily gained trust. The man immediately welcomed him into the room, and after entering, Jean Jia quickly observed around and found that there were only two people here. By constantly talking to attract attention, he planned how to deal with the next situation. Upon realizing that the other party had already relaxed her guard, Miss Jurnee suddenly went berserk and her unexpected attack made the man furious. He fought against Jean Jia, a young and strong special forces soldier fighting against an elderly man in his 60s. Although the outcome seemed obvious, it was completely unexpected. The energy on Jean Jia's body is truly terrifying. Without any weapons, he used ordinary objects to subdue the man in front of him. Is he taking her? Can you kill Jean Jia without leaving any trouble after receiving the answer? At this moment, the woman walked in with a hunting gun in her hand. He was shocked by what was happening before him. After searching the cabin, he found that all he could use was a walkie-talkie. The woman asked Jean Jia why she had such skills, and Jean Jia said she had participated in Tong Zijuan before. The woman said, "Don't lie to me, tell the truth." Jean said, "Okay, I'm actually a retired special agent." The woman was shocked and said, "Why didn't I notice?" Jean Jia said, "Let you find out, isn't I very vegetable?" After speaking, he left the cabin and continued to move forward. "Come on, Jackson." On the other hand, the man took his daughter for a brief rest. He took out a conversation and almost called out his comrades, but he could hear his wife's voice, which made him feel embarrassed and angry. The pouring rainstorm continues. Sister Jing and the woman choose to have a rest under the boulder after a long journey. While resting, the woman revealed her identity. It turned out that she came here to avoid domestic violence, but unexpectedly, her husband found them again. As the conversation changed, she expressed gratitude to Sister Jean and asked why she would help herself. Jean Jie said, "Like you, I have unforgettable things, maybe we share the same illness." Okay. After the repair back rested, they continued on their journey and soon arrived at a damaged suspension bridge with a turbulent mudslide below. Women can't figure out how their husbands take their daughters over because it's the only way. Encouraged by Sister Jean, the woman cautiously stepped onto it. Later, Sister Jean gave the order to the hunting dog to retrace his way back to his residence. Facing the harsh weather, Jean Jie and the woman clenched the steel lock and slowly moved forward. Just as the two of them were about to reach the opposite shore, Jean Jie had a situation where the bandage on his left hand was hanging on the steel lock. The two of them fell down together. Fortunately, the slope was not steep, and they fell halfway up the mountain. After waking up, Jean Jie's arm dislocated, but he didn't panic at all. As he let out a painful scream, his arm was forcefully supported by him. "Get up, you just lost an hour on him." In the evening of the same day, the rainstorm finally stopped, and they also came to the destination Yalong Bay. In front of a stranded ship, Sister Jean said that the weather was fine, and they had to split up. The woman was responsible for finding help through the walkie-talkie, while he continued to go deep to find the man. Time quickly arrived at night, and Jean Jie discovered the man's hiding place. He tiptoed closer, but did not notice the person's figure. At this moment, the man pointed a gun at him from behind. 4 gums. From their conversation, a truth hidden for decades was revealed to the public. The man turned out to be Jean Jie's son. She was kidnapped by robbers when she was young, but Jean Jie gave up rescuing her for a mission. From then on, the man left a childhood shadow and his personality became extremely crazy. As she grew up, she became a special forces soldier, but soon committed crimes and became a wanted criminal. In the end, she had another accident and died in a fire. What Jean Jie didn't expect was that her son was still alive. The reason she tied her daughter up was to let her mother taste the pain of family destruction. Jean Jie expressed her regret on the spot, but as a spy, she couldn't help but deceive her daughter-in-law and granddaughter into this small island after learning of her son's death. She then planned to commit suicide and leave the inheritance to them. The man didn't take it seriously after hearing this. He was already possessed and went crazy, teasing his mother with lies and expressing his intention to die with everyone. Stand in this legacy put this whole family out of its nursery. Philip, you're her father and you're my mother. The mother and son wrestled together, exerting all their strength with each move. Unfortunately, in the end, Jean Jie was defeated by the man and was severely stabbed by his son, unable to move. Waiting for you at the lighthouse. At the same time, the woman contacted the detective in the small town. Just as the detective was about to conduct a rescue, he received a call from the CIA. Originally, Jean Jie was a wanted agent, and her son was also a wanted person. Now they have learned from intercepted information that both wanted individuals are in Yalong Bay, and the CIA is requesting that the detective not interfere with their work, let alone send people into Yalong Bay. Upon hearing this, the detective was stunned and couldn't believe that Jean Jie, whom he had known for many years, was actually a spy. On the other hand, the woman found the injured Jean Jie. When he was searching for the medicine, he found that Jean Jie's bag contained her husband's belongings. Jean Jie couldn't hide it anymore. She confessed her relationship with the man. The woman was puzzled when she heard that the landlord Jean Jie was actually her mother-in-law. Jean Jie said that the reason why I tricked you into coming to this island is entirely to protect the safety of you and your granddaughter. The woman thought of her husband's strangeness and gradually understood the mother-in-law in front of her from shock. After learning the truth, the woman disregarded Jin's advice and decided to go alone to see her husband. Jean Jie's voice was hoarse and exhausted, and the pain on her body plunged her into memories. In a dazed memory, the hunting dog returned to its owner's side. The next morning, the detective took a risk and arrived at Yalong Bay. He dragged out his sister Jing for a simple rest, and then gave him his bracelet, indicating that it could calm his mood. But when he returned to the ship to get medicine, Jean Jie escaped on his motorcycle. Yeah, be kissing me. At the same moment, the woman also came to the lighthouse. Climbing up the lighthouse on more than 10 floors, the woman finally met her daughter and mother. Hi mommy. After a few words of conversation, the man relaxed his guard and returned his daughter to his wife. I miss you so much. The woman quietly told her daughter to hide first, and after settling down the child, she finally felt relieved to settle her hatred with her husband. The man looked at his wife's gun and frankly stated that he would never pull the trigger. Next second, The man was in great pain. He angrily rebuked his wife for stealing his daughter, and now he wants to shoot himself. The woman was very angry and accused her husband of talking nonsense, wondering who hurt who. At this moment, in the fierce fight, the woman took out her own dagger and stabbed her into her husband's palm, firmly nailing her to the lighthouse. After trapping her husband, the woman came downstairs to call out for her daughter. At this moment, he heard a sound coming from the basement. When he arrived at the basement, he was horrified to find that there were remote-controlled bombs everywhere. So the woman found her daughter, and at this time, Jurnee also arrived here. Just as the three of them were about to leave, the man escaped from the rooftop and came down below. In order not to disturb, he pressed the remote control and the woman pushed her daughter out of the small door. At this moment, the man noticed that his family was all down there. He smiled and finally the whole family reunited. Crazy, he pulled out the wires and pressed the button on the bomb. But it turned out that Jurnee didn't have time to dismantle the bomb, but she transferred the remote control signal to the walkie-talkie and then worked with her daughter to open the small door. Only when the man broke through the door and arrived at the basement did he realize that the building was empty and far away. Meanwhile, the CIA helicopter arrived here with a very clear purpose of shooting and killing the two wanted criminals below. Jurnee looked at her approaching son and immediately made a choice. He asked his daughter-in-law to leave with his granddaughter and instructed himself to leave a letter for them. Later, he detonated the lighthouse bomb in order to attract a CIA helicopter and die with his son. "Don't die on me now, Lou." AI Meow and her son slowly approached, and after many years, they met again in the same mine in this way. Without any communication, the two of them swung their weapons. Under the impact of waves, the two sides fought fiercely. Because both of them were injured, their movements seemed particularly slow, but as they fought, their eyes became gentler. The man cried loudly while holding his mother, and Jean also hugged his long-lost son. At this moment, the CIA's plane spotted them. "I am dirty kid." There was no suspense, and both of them fell to the ground. At this moment, all hatred is dissipated in smoke and clouds. Shortly thereafter, the woman settled down with her daughter, but the CIA would occasionally visit her. Originally, the documents that Jurnee had burned before were all important information for them, but all of this came to nothing with Jurnee's departure. As the screen turns, on a huge cruise ship, the woman looks into the distance with her daughter. It turns out that she has sold Jurnee's house and wants to return to the mainland to start a new life. At this moment, the hunting dog suddenly noticed that she was vigilant and looked up at the top of the ship. It turned out that there was a woman watching them.